The more I use AI, the more I'm beginning to feel unstoppable. There's literally projects that I'd put off years ago that I just kind of gave up on because it's not that I couldn't figure them out. It's just that the amount of time and energy required was just taking too long. So I just put it off or got it halfway done or just put it on a to-do list or just let it go entirely. Slowly, those projects are coming back to mind and I am killing all of them. Like they're all getting done from things around the house, things at work, things I'm like, oh, I've always wanted to do. I'm not getting stopped anymore. There are hardly any roadblocks left because of all the things that AI is now helping me accomplish. It kind of feels like the time when we were playing StarCraft a lot and you could put in these like cheat codes into this war game and all of a sudden you became invincible. It feels a lot like that. And so in today's episode, I want to be diving into how we're using AI in everyday ways to not just make life easier, but actually take the projects we've always had in our mind to do, or things maybe our wives are bugging us to do, we got to fix or solve or something, and actually getting them done. And getting them not done halfway, but actually getting them done all the way and even going farther than we ever did before. So, welcome back to the AI Driven Marketer. I'm Dan Sanchez, and I'm joined by my brother, Travis Sanchez.
Power overwhelming. That's a cheat code from StarCraft that I remember.
Where we usually cover the news to separate the help from the hype of everything that's going on with AI, but it is July. In fact, it's the 4th of July, so happy 4th of July, everybody. Happy 4th of July, Trav. And it's been a quiet week. There's not been a lot of news. There's certainly been some news on the AI front that's just drama, like between the AI companies. But honestly, it's not something any marketer really needs to pay attention to because it doesn't really matter. It won't change our lives. It changes the industry's lives, but we're not involved in the AI industry. We're involved in marketing our industries. So we're going to ignore that news because it's really just not that important and it's just drama. So this today, instead of covering the news and a poll and a viral post, we're just going to be diving deep into a bunch of different ways we're using AI because I find that getting the use cases, getting the ways people have done things is everything to
So
me.
helpful.
There's been times where I've just seen marketing campaigns fleshed out and they don't even explain how to do it sometimes, but just knowing it's been done is half the game. Knowing that it's possible is what actually gets me. It helps me to believe what I can do, and then I'll figure it out. Then I can Google it. Then you can ask ChatGPT how to do it. And so we're going to give you a bunch of different use cases today of how we're using it to become unstoppable. Trav, why don't you kick us off with one of yours?
Number one, and it has been this way since the beginning, it is my script writing sidekick. Whether it comes to emails, comes to text messages, it even comes to just reading what I've wrote. I'm like, hey, check out and analyze what I have put in this text message. Am I friendly? Am I rude? Am I too direct? How am I coming across? Tell me how you would interpret. And man, is that helpful. And of course, it can rewrite things for you. However, you have to be careful. And I think this is why people recommend Claude. I have had people come up to me and say, hey, that was a great ChatGPT email. Can you actually rewrite it? And I was like, oh, I was caught. It felt like my pants were around my ankles and someone walked into the room and I'm like, I was getting dressed and they caught me. So it's not perfect, but man, has it been a huge brain saver when it comes to text, you know?
Yeah. So not just scripts, but like how to actually like write crucial conversations in messages, whether email
Totally.
or all
Well,
kinds of
there's
things.
direct communication, there's copywriting, there's scripts, there's
Yeah. There's
all
a lot.
sorts of things. Yeah.
uh, to kind of like double tap into that, like Simon Sinek recently was like kind of like showing that AI is not good for relationships because the struggle is what makes it real. And part of me wanted to debate him in it. I wish I could actually debate him in person, but he's too hard to get a hold of. So he essentially made the claim like, oh, like what if a couple were in an argument and maybe the husband like went back and talked to ChatGPT and walked it through and then got the right answer to essentially diffuse the argument, right? So, but then he takes the answer he got from ChatGPT, he gives it to her, and then she says, "Did ChatGPT write that?" Showcasing like the awkward moment of like, oh, like what you had with your boss. But in my mind, I'm like, yeah, but if he used ChatGPT to process it, figure out where he was wrong, and actually come up with what he actually agreed with, is that really like cheating, or is that actually just getting a third party perspective on your feelings and then actually arriving to them and agreeing with them? Is that because like if Amy did that to me and agreed with it, I'm like, yeah, do it all day.
It's
I'm like,
weird that you brought this up because I literally just had a little spat with my spouse. I was in bed angry. She was already asleep. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I don't know what to do. So I opened up chat. I explained the whole conversation, where I got
yeah,
frustrated. And you know what? It did. It validated me, which you obviously have to be careful. It's just
yeah,
mirroring. But it also said,
yeah,
but to be honest, Travis, she has an equal amount of frustration in this conversation. And it was like, this is where human interactions can get really dicey because it's two perspectives, you know, subjectively different opinions. And I was like, okay, I'm right and she's right. We're both right. One, because feelings are involved. You could look at the situation from
yeah,
two different perspectives. And it helped me in that moment go, okay, she's not wrong. She's not fully right, but neither am I. And that was helpful. So it depends on how you're using it. And if you are using chat to just script a line to your spouse or to your significant other or to a boss, whoever,
yeah,
and you're not being open and honest about it, then yeah, there's a problem. But if I say, hey, I actually use ChatGPT, talk to our about our conversation, and then told them, hey, I use this, and it made me realize that yeah, this area I feel right in, but I was also wrong in this area. I don't think the person would have a problem with it as long as you're honest about it, right?
yeah. I the first use case I'll give is similar. I had an email that came in and I responded. I would wrote my email, my response. I'm like, this is hot. This is going to sound defensive. This is not going to be good. Of course, I gave it to ChatGPT. Like, help this sound more diplomatic. Help it sound not angry.
Uh huh.
And it rewrote it. When I read ChatGPT's response, I was like, it diffused my own emotion, even
Wow.
though it didn't like try to weasel out of what needed to happen. I don't even remember what it was, but I remember just feeling like I was trapped in a corner and I didn't see a way through. But when it rewrote it, it diffused all my emotion because all of a sudden I had a way through. And I think that's why I was frustrated, because I felt like I was backed into
You were
the
stuck.
corner.
Yeah.
Once I found a logical reason through to communicate what I really wanted in a way that was appropriate, emotion gone.
Wow.
I felt diffused. It felt great. And the recipient of the email was fine and everything was better.
Wow.
So I'm like, ChatGPT is just really good sometimes at diffusing our own emotions because we don't realize that there's something else going on internally. Then it's not the situation, it's the story you're telling yourself about the situation. And I think maybe that's the thing that I probably need to ask ChatGPT more is like, hey, this is what's going on. I feel this way. What's the story I'm telling myself and why is it likely not true?
Wow.
But again, we've talked about why AI can be dangerous around these things. So be careful.
Yes.
It can be a
Yes.
confirmation bias machine. Ask it for the other person's perspective. Ask it to push on you. Ask it to be critical
Yep.
because, again, you're getting into like dangerous water sometimes when it comes to emotions and stuff. But I can't deny that it is becoming a more helpful tool to process some of these things.
Yep.
What's your next one?
Uh what's funny is I've started playing Minecraft with my kids, and if you've ever played Minecraft, one of the most popular games, if not the most popular games in the world, they have continued to develop it over a course of 15 years. So they just keep adding things. It is a game where you have to.
There's no instruction book for this game.
There's no instruction book,
You're just
and
lost in this world. You're like, what am
yeah,
I supposed to do here?
yeah, exactly. You have to figure things out, and there's basic things that everyone kind of knows now. But as I've been getting deeper and deeper into the game, I just use ChatGPT all the time. I use it as a Minecraft oracle. I ask it complex Minecraft mechanics. How does this work? Why does it work this way? If I fall in a certain angle when I hit a guy, will it? I mean, it's just so probably you can use this for any video game or any TV series or movie series or even book you're reading. Like it will unpack or break down complex things like this video game that I play with my kids. So that's been really fun to actually use it. Like, why is it happening this way? And it explains it. It's not always up to date. Mojang updates Minecraft so frequently that there's new things being added that Minecraft or ChatGPT will have a little bit of like a hallucination about. It's like, oh, you must be talking about this. I'm like, no, it doesn't even know what I'm talking about because it's updated so frequently. So that's the only drawback. But that's a fun use case.
One that I'm using all the time for ChatGPT is asking like deeper why questions. Why is it this way? What's going on here? Recently, I came across an advertisement for a new cell phone company called Helium, and they have free plans, free cell phone data plans. You're like, how the heck? And then I dig into the website. It was from that YouTube finance guy, Graham, whatever his name is. It was his host read ad in his episode. So I'm like, well, he's probably validated. It's actually not a scam. Otherwise he wouldn't have read the ad. He's got too much credibility on the line. So I go to the website and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, okay, there's a free one, but they're going to track your data kind of thing. You're like, okay. But then they had a 15-month one where it's like 10 gigs of data a month. I'm like, that's like literally less than half the cost of what I'm currently paying, twice the amount of data that I'm currently getting for $15 a month. Now it's on T-Mobile's thing, so I don't get T-Mobile where I live, so I'm like, okay. But I'm like, why it seems like I'm seeing instances where cell companies are lowering their prices all over the place, at least for the third-party providers.
Wow.
I don't know about Sprint and Verizon themselves. But I asked ChatGPT why are cell prices coming down? And it gave me a thorough explanation. It's like, hey, part of it's more competition across them all. Like the government's regulated some things so that there's more competition across these companies and they're being more competitive. Part of it is like we're moving to zero, like what do they call it? The little chips in the phones. Like you can just switch providers digitally now. You don't even have to. So there's less store, less footprint, less costs, better margins. And there was just a few other reasons that just made it so that prices were dropping.
Right.
You're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Wow. So it was just interesting to not ask why and then get a thorough explanation of all of it in one place really quickly.
That's great.
But I'm doing it for all kinds of things. Why is this historically? Why do we have a sheet, a middle blanket, and a comforter on a bed? Where did that even come from? ChatGPT knows and gives you a really good answer on like the origins of why something is today. Because there's so many things in our lives that you're like, why do we do it this way? Why it's like I'm in a room. It's like, why are houses constructed with the siding the way it is? Like ChatGPT has the answers for that better than Google does. So I'm diving deeper into those. Anytime I'm like, I wonder why. I don't wonder anymore. I just ask ChatGPT.
Yeah, it is the new search engine for those questions. My kids don't say Google it, Dad. They say ask ChatGPT. That's their thing when they want to know, hey, what's the biggest shark? Hey, our neighbor kid says that lightning birds, this is a real thing, that lightning birds are real. Can you tell them they're not? Ask ChatGPT if they're real or not. So then I'm like using voice mode to tell us why people think lightning birds exist and the myth and the whole thing.
What is a lightning bird?
Exactly. Like Zapdos from Pokemon over here.
Yeah.
Like truly, they're like, the kid
is
was
that like a phoenix except lightning?
Yeah.
Is that an actual myth?
He's like, they're real.
Pokemon?
They're real. It's a mythological creature based from like Native Americans believing that lightning and birds mixed. I don't know. There's something like that. So there's some
fantastic
truth to the narrative, but it's totally
it's beyond Pokemon. There's an actual lore behind it, but
yeah, there is a lore.
Obviously. Okay.
One way I've used ChatGPT is my Airbnb butler. And it's kind of a bad title, but it's helped me craft messages for my guests. It's helped me write reviews for the people that have stayed there that I'm just like, I don't know. They've treated the house nice. Write me a comment about this guest who stayed in my home. It has helped me design my gym that's in my Airbnb, workout instructions, things like that. Wi-Fi plaques. I've had it design logos for the Airbnb business thing. Like it's literally helped me. It's like my executive assistant. Yeah. Manage different projects.
The butler.
Airbnb butler.
My next one is a really simple one, but I used it the other week, and I'm like, man, I wish I would have had this when I worked in a call center. But it helped me pronounce a name that I wasn't used to pronouncing.
Oh, nice.
Which is really difficult if you have a foreign name and you're like, I don't know how this could come off this way, it could go this way. So I turned on advanced voice mode and I was like, hey, ChatGPT, I need help pronouncing a name. This is how it's spelled. This is what I think the ethnicity is. I think it's pronounced this way. Is that right? They're like, no, it's probably more this way. You're like, oh, fantastic. Because it speaks it speaks so many languages that
Right.
it is really good at understanding the pronunciation of a name.
Wow,
So if you're ever in doubt, advanced voice mode, it probably knows how to pronounce the name.
That's great. A quick one. Hey, happy 4th of July. ChatGPT 03. Can I set fireworks off in my city? Like, what are the city ordinances for exactly where I live? Oh, thanks for asking, Travis. Yeah, no, you can light off sparklers and snakes. You cannot light off fountains. You cannot light off anything other than sparklers and those little snake growy things. I was like, well, that's a shame because I just spent $300 on fireworks that are not sparklers and snakes. So plan B, 03 ChatGPT really dove deep into the ordinances, and I'm like, this is what I needed, because you could do a Google search and pull information from 5 years ago where the rules were everything's good as long as they're not mortars and explosives. So saved me a $550 fine.
That's really a cheat code to this whole thing. If you're listening to this and you're not using the model called 03, 03 is more powerful than 40. It's counterintuitive that they numbered it and named it the way they did. They're going to fix it this summer. ChatGPT 5 will come over and roll it all up. But 03 is significantly more powerful than 40.
Yes.
It's also slower, but I'm using it for at least half of stuff I'm doing. Anytime I ask it a question of I wonder if, I'm using 03, because 03 is smart enough to go and, even if you don't ask it to, it will go search the internet for the answer and think about it, and then go search some more and think about it and search some more and then deliver you an answer.
Yeah, and then
really good for navigating the freaking government, which is going to be my next use case.
Yes.
I made the rookie mistake of letting my passport expire and then booking international travel. So naturally, I have a very long drive. I'm driving to Atlanta soon to get my emergency passport. But there's a lot of junk around scheduling like meetings with the passport agencies. And I wouldn't have known that I needed to book a meeting at midnight exactly, like as if I'm booking Taylor Swift concert tickets. This is the language ChatGPT explained it to me. He's like, you don't understand. You need to be there ready at Eastern midnight. As soon as that clock strikes, you have to be logging in and getting your time as fast as you possibly can. And where did he get the information? Not from the government. The government information was there, but the real key to it was that a bunch of people had already talked about it on Reddit. Who had experienced it, and it told me, like, look, everybody's talking about this, and if you want to be able to get an emergency passport in a single day, this is the game plan. Follow these step-by-step instructions. It ended up being right. I validated it as much as I can, following the link, reading the government. Nowhere on the government website does it say be ready at midnight because it goes fast. Nowhere does it say that. It tells you what needs to happen technically, but then there's the information behind the rules, which is be ready to book it within seconds.
Yeah, it
goes that fast.
The nature of people that people have discussed and complained about of what actually happens for this government process is what you need. Yep. Are you getting an emergency passport or just a one-day passport? You're not getting an emergency one.
I don't know. I'm getting the one where I can get it issued within one day. I'm showing up at 8:30 in the morning.
It's a real passport. It's not, emergency passports are only dealt by consulates in other countries.
No, not that. I'm getting a one day. I'm getting a, I don't know what
you're getting a legitimate passport.
You can get a passport in one day if it's in within 14 days of travel.
It's a one-day passport. You're getting a
one-day
passport. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Emergency passport's it's purple book. And it's very
because you spent a lot of time overseas.
I've had to get emergency passports to leave Israel with my kids.
You're like,
it's not different. An emergency passport. Anyway, I just terminology. We could ask ChatGPT what's the difference.
What's your next one?
I did a what do I use it for? I have a couple of things here. So I've used it a lot for theological look up biblical questions, like, okay, here's, some of you will listening to this will understand this. There's a parable Jesus talks about, easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven, right? So there's been the big debate. What is the eye of the needle? I've heard it said 1,000 different ways. The eye of the needle is the hole or the slit in the walls where archers shoot arrows through. It's very slit, thin area, whatever. I've heard it's a wall hole for people coming into the city that want to be merchants, but they can't fit their camels through because they don't want all of the goods coming in. So, anyways,
or it's literal. You can't get the camel through an eye hole of a needle. So it's just it's an exaggeration of what's impossible.
Right.
Yeah.
So I asked chat and I go, okay, you know more than anybody. Like, what do you think this means? And it's like, well, no one really knows for sure. However, what's really funny is the word for camel and the word for large rope are the same in Aramaic and Hebrew. So if he was talking about the eye of a needle, a large rope can't go through the eye of a needle, like an actual sewing needle. So he might have not even been talking about a camel. He was talking about a large rope because the word for camel is gamal or a gamla or something. But then the word for large rope is gamal. So it's just based on pronunciation. So it could have just been mistranslated, but it also works, the camel thing. So it helped me understand Hebrew context, history, translations. Things might get lost in translation. Incredibly helpful for so many different scriptures. You're like, oh, okay, how does this work?
Yeah.
How does that work? What does this mean?
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's funny. It's one of my use cases too, is better understanding the Bible. I'm using it as a Bible study tool all the time. I will say, caveat, like, do this in community, do this with your pastoral staff, because again, it's a confirmation bias machine. If you feed it a story of like, I wonder if the Bible is actually an alien text trying to manipulate us, ChatGPT is smart enough that it's going to push back on that one. But if you get a subtle, weird nuance, like, it'll run down with you and go in a weird direction and go into a loop of a story playing the role with you. So do it in community, because like there's a reason why people need to be involved. You can't just depend on AI alone. But it's so helpful because it's so well trained on all the ancient texts that you're like, hey, in this passage, what else was going on at that time? What was this nation doing? Because there's lots of cross references to like, while this is going on in Jerusalem, these people over here are doing that. You're like, wait, what's the backstory behind those people again? And it'll pull up all the relevant passages the Bible mentions, and then other ancient texts of like, this is what's going on in this place. So you can just get a better understanding of the context.
Yep.
All that stuff. Anytime I have a question now, I'm like, well, wait, what's the backstory on that? You can get it pretty quickly. So it's just, it's a handy Bible study tool.
What else you got?
That was my next one. So you're up next.
Oh, all right. I thought that was mine.
It was, but I had it on my list too.
Oh, look at you.
So I'm just piggybacking off of that one.
I've used it as like a fitness advisor. I'm like, hey, here's the pain I'm dealing with. I have a little bit of this soreness here. It won't go away. What stretch do I need to do to work on this? And it'll ask follow-up questions to figure out, oh, okay, if it's right here, try this workout. It's called this muscle. Here, look up stretches that can help you with this. So it's helped clarify different areas, even in my physical body, that I'm like, okay, what do I do with this? That's been super helpful.
One that I've talked about on this podcast before, I think a couple of times, but it's still an ongoing thing. So I'm going to explain, but I've been on this battle with the weeds in my grass. I'm finally starting to like man up and figure out how to do a nice lawn, which is way more complicated than I ever thought. Like having a perfect lawn, you're like, there is like an art and a science to that I'm like, this rabbit hole just keeps going further down. I'm now mixing chemicals and spraying things. I'm like, what the heck? I got to be a chemist to like have a weed free lawn. But one of the things I've done recently is I've had new weeds pop up as old weeds die. And I'm in Tennessee, so it's like there's a freaking ton of different types of weeds here. And every time a new one comes up, like I got a new one the other day that was like a popping up where the old one had died. It saw an advantage, saw some open land, and went for it. So luckily the iPhone, you can get such close photos now, such detailed photos, like macro photos up close, that I get in real close and take a picture of it, send it to ChatGPT 03. I'm like, all right, chat, what new weed demon are we dealing with now? And I didn't really ask it much more and like to help me figure out what weed is popping up in my grass, because it knows the context of the past conversations of what chemicals I already have, where I live, all the other weeds that I've dealt with. It's like, this is actually a cousin of the other one we killed a few weeks ago. It's a different style of clover. Don't worry. Just keep spraying the spray you already have, because it's going to kill this one too. I'm like, oh, God, I don't have to buy another chemical. So I already have two that I'm dealing with. And I'm like, how many more poisons do I need for my grass? This grass is going to be radioactive soon. But because it has all the history, I didn't even have to go back to the original conversation. It kind
It
of like
already knew.
already knew well enough of what I was dealing with.
Wow. One idea for using ChatGPT that I haven't used, especially if you have kids, to take family photos of you and your wife, your kids, whatever, and upload it to ChatGPT and say, create this into a coloring page. So just remove all of the details outlined so clearly the kids can tell who's who. They recognize the photo, and it will make your family photos into coloring pages for your kids, which just makes them more excited to color because it's them almost perfectly in a, black line silhouette jam. So I saw that and was like, that's smart.
I'm doing this today. It's going to be 4th of July themed. It's going to be great.
I saw that prompt. I was like, dang, that's amazing.
One that I've been doing recently is helping it become like a skill coach, where I'm like, hey, I have this goal. I want to become a better storyteller. Help me craft a curriculum that I could follow just a little bit every day. If I'm going to tell a story every day to my kids, and I work on a different section, a different skill, micro skill of storytelling. So it's a project within ChatGPT. And then I just upload, like, we have a curriculum that I'm working through. That's the first conversation. I just pull up a next one every day. And then I record the story as I telling it to my kids. And I then post the transcript of the story, and it gives me feedback, and I try to improve a little bit every single day. So any kind of skill or thing that you're trying to learn, many of them can be refined. Like ChatGPT can be a coach helping you improve it every day. If there's some kind of like way you could deliver it to it, between the video and the advanced voice mode and just text, there's generally some way you can put it in there and get feedback on it. There's some that you can't, like you can't, it's not going to tell you if you're doing better at piano. Not yet, but a lot of things, a lot of skills you're trying to improve, it can, especially if you're doing language learning.
Wow.
It would be really good for that because it knows all the languages and can practice with you.
I have done that in Hebrew. I'm like, speak only Hebrew to me, and I will respond in Hebrew. And then if I'm struggling, you can help me. And it did pretty good.
It's probably getting a lot better now since the nuance. It's getting better at the nuance of the language too. Like its delivery of it and understanding of it. It's gotten better recently. What's your next one?
I've looked up tons of, this is kind of the law thing, but just financial strategy translator. I mean, CPAs know an incredible amount of information when it comes to taxes, how to best set yourself up. So as it gets more complicated, having different businesses, starting different businesses, to actually just use ChatGPT to explain, hey, what's the best way to formulate payments to self? How do I use the ability to, I forget what it was, this tax law where you can actually write off 100% of expenses in the first year versus it used to be you have to do it at a percentage of time. Well, this new bill that passed, they're going to let you write off the value of a business expense. And I just didn't understand it. I was like, explain this to me like I'm in 3rd grade. And it helped me understand complex, well, what I thought was complex tax law, because it's so complicated. If you don't know, you don't know. So tax law breakthrough. Well, Dan froze. That might be the pod. Those are a few ways that we've been using it. Plus emotional clarity. Man, if there's ever something that you're wrestling with emotionally, just start processing. It's helped me verbally process some things, even just to get it out and explain it to something that will give me feedback. That has been super helpful. But there you go. Practical ways that you can use ChatGPT to help you in your everyday life, whether it is in marketing, it is at your role, your job, your family, your outputs.